We will call the meeting to order. Review the agenda for additions, removal, adjustments of any items. Anything we need to add or change, Valerie?
Not that I am aware of.
Anybody else? No. Overview of Zoom meeting operations and procedures, rules for participation. Mute your microphone, be recognized by the chair or one of the other board members. Everybody should have that down by now. Public forum, opportunity for citizens who are not on the agenda to briefly share comments or concerns. Anyone here? Anyone there? All right, seeing none. Department head roundtable. We will start with Bruce because we have him in person.
May I come up?
You certainly may.
I don't always speak loudly, that's why I want to sit here. Okay. So you may remember or saw something in the news about the use of force statewide policy. So as required by statute, we've adopted the statewide use of force policy. Some of the things that were included in that is an emphasis on de-escalation and utilizing mental health or social service resources when we're encountering persons experiencing a mental health crisis or in need of some type of assistance. So since I've been here at Bristol, we have been evaluating our procedures to include de-escalation. And we've been utilizing that technique for a while now. So this isn't like new to us, but the written policy is. We get our written policies from the LCT. And it's something that I'd like to work with Ian, and we can post those on our website so people will know what our policies are. So some of the agencies that we've also worked with while we're going through some of these incidents, and we've developed partnerships with our CSAC, Turning Point. Turning Point actually gave us an iPad. So if somebody wants to speak to somebody and be like a face-to-face, they can see the person they're talking to. Age Well, United Way of Addison County, DCF, Women's Safe, Hope, and more locally, the 5-Town Partnership Group, which has been helpful with some of our local people in need. I would also at this time like to say a big thank you to Brenda from Age Well. She's been instrumental with one of our continued cases and her continued assistance to a person in need here in Bristol. On the 27th of September, Officer Turner responded to a threatening complaint involving a weapon. He was assisted by the state police because I couldn't get there immediately. They were successful in de-escalating a volatile situation from becoming explosive. We also, after that, with the continued follow-up, received assistance from the family members and CSAC in the days following the incident for a successful resolution. So the policy that is in place, we've been following, and here was one time where it was successful. And I can't thank those guys enough, Officer Turner and the Vermont State Police, for that situation that night. So there are times that the general public does not see or may not realize the work that goes on behind the scenes with follow-up and ongoing investigations. So what I'm trying to come up with is I'm working with the officers to develop a strategy to share more information with the public without jeopardizing ongoing cases, and at the same time protecting the privacy and rights of those involved. It's an ongoing thing, and then, if somebody's got some input or some suggestions, I'm all ears. We really want to be successful at presenting information to the public so they understand what we do as a police agency here, and not just our agency, other agencies do, but obviously my focus is making sure that the public understands what we do. And if they have any questions, they can call me. But keep in mind that there is some information that we can't disclose. And there's a couple of things that might be of interest in future agendas I'm not sure if you read or heard, St. Omens recently adopted a noise ordinance to address noise from vehicles. I know we have had some residents here that were interested in either developing or creating a noise ordinance. So that's something we might be able to use as an example. And some of the individuals that have been going through town excessively revving their engines, I've spoken to some of them and asked them not to do it, that it is unreasonable, or at least I'm taking it as unreasonable as well as the public. And that if we can gather enough information, I'll bring that to the SA for a disorderly conduct. I don't want to go that route, but when they're coming through town, if they're excessively revving their engines, it is disturbing the public. So also in the near future, we'll need to order new parking tickets. So this might be a good time to review the current fines and determine if they're adequate and if we should raise them. Yeah. So I hope I didn't speak too fast.
When you mentioned that mental health, you had that crisis. I read the log the last 4 weeks, and there's a couple of you had we had a mental health citizen or a person with mental health issue. And it was nice to see that you're de-escalating that.
Yeah. Well, like I said, that is something I need to do a better job to educate not only the public, but you as well. We have been doing these techniques for a while now. I'm not sure at what level of information to share, because I really do want to make sure that we're protecting people's privacy.
Well, protecting people's privacy and your techniques as well.
Right. Yeah.
Any questions of Bruce? Ian?
Happy to work with you on putting that on the website, Bruce. Not a problem. I know that you and we've been talking about the decal updates for the new truck. Any update on that in terms of when that might happen or when that might go into play?
Yes, the first set of lettering when they brought it over was too small, so we put it on one of the SUVs, and we reordered the sizing for the truck. They look great. Unfortunately, just the wrong size came.
Okay, excellent. Thanks.
Anybody here got a question for Bruce? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Brett?
Thank
There it is.
Hello. Hi. Good evening. Thank you. I really first and foremost would like to report out on this past Saturday's efforts for the 5-town fire department food drive to benefit the Have a Heart food shelf. The preliminary numbers that I've seen, it seems about 4,600 pounds of food were brought in among the 5 towns, and somewhere around $2,300 in cash donations. So that to me is a very successful food drive, great effort that retired Chief Mark Bouvier started 14 years ago and is still going strong. So certainly a big thanks to Mark and all those who volunteered that day to help out with this effort, to include our neighbors from Starksboro, Lincoln, New Haven, and Moncton. So, and really the other piece of news I'd like to share with the select board for your awareness, as it's going to be consuming much of my time for months to come. So I was applied for and was accepted into the National Pro Board certification for Fire Officer 1 and 2 certification. This past Saturday, I had my 8 hours of orientation, but for the next 5 to 6 months, I will spend a couple hundred hours working towards earning this Pro Board certification so I can better serve the fire department and the community at large. Other than that, those are my updates, pending any questions from you folks.
Any questions?
Congratulations.
Yeah, and good luck. Anybody here with any questions for Brett? All right. Ian?
Thank you.
Brett, can you expand on that? What does that mean for you and for
What's
us?
that?
In terms of the certification? Yeah, I have no idea what the different levels are.
Oh,
I'm
sure.
ignorant of that.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. So as an example, to become a Bristol firefighter, you have to obtain your Pro Board certification as a level 1 firefighter, as we call it, the Firefighter 1. And that's the first step up a ladder in Pro Board certifications. That is a requirement of all Bristol firefighters. However, after that, any additional Pro Board certifications that come our way, those are done voluntarily by firefighters. Like, we're extremely fortunate in Bristol. We have approximately 20 of our firefighters who have earned their Pro Board certification as level 2 firefighters or Firefighter 2. And then the next step would be the Fire Instructor course, which, you know, as you can imagine, like any course, as you go up, they become much more challenging and difficult. There are only 4 persons in the Bristol Fire Department who have earned the Firefighter Instructor certification, which is a prerequisite for the Fire Officer program. So I'm quite certainly my salary is not going to go up at the Bristol Fire Department, but it's really it's a personal thing I want to work towards. I took Fire Instructor, I think it was 9 years ago, but this is the first time in the Fire Academy's history they are offering the course in a format which meets a volunteer type schedule. Because traditionally that course is offered 1 time per year, and it is 3 consecutive weeks, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, which is not conducive to a volunteer schedule. So evenings and weekends, we're going to get this done, but there was only 20 persons allowed in the class, but it was really great to see a mix of not only the career side of the fire service, but there was, I think, 6 volunteers in the class, which included myself. So it's just something I want to challenge myself with, something I think I can bring back something to the department and to the town. So
That sounds great. And it's you have the perfect use of the ladder metaphor as well. So that's good.
yes. Well, and another thing about this is they're not only offering it in a format that meets the volunteer schedule, but that also includes the virtual format. So it's both in person and virtual. So which makes, otherwise I don't think it would have been possible to travel to the academy. So, but I have an extremely supportive family on the home front who's helping me get through this. So
That's great.
All right, any other questions? All right, Eric.
Well,
You're up.
Department head.
I'm out. See, we got our loader back, so that's fixed. Radiator was gone and it cracked the top of the radiator. So we're in the process of getting things ready for winter. The trucks, we got plow fronts on 3 of them. We got 1 more to go. That's about it for now. We got some more ditching I want to do once
It freezes?
Well, no, hopefully before that. Once the weather stops raining, there's some ditching to do this week and probably next week, and then that should wrap that up.
Eric, I did notice today that they call crossing road and went down past Billy's old place down where you ditched it a few weeks ago. Is that gonna need some stone there? It seemed like it was already washed the seed in the tape that's hay off.
No, that, if you're under 5% grade, all you need to do is grass seed.
Okay.
Between 5 and 8%, you have 2 options. You can either do check dams or stone. Anything above 8%, you have to stone. So the part going up by Billy's was less than 5, so that can just be grass seeded. The hill going back towards Bristol, that would have to be either check dammed or stone.
Okay. No Meredith tonight? All right. All righty, moving on. Planning Commission candidate, Shannon, come on up. Evening. So we always have to start with why.
Oh, we're gonna start because I was asked.
Okay.
In reality, I didn't think about it myself. I was approached about a month ago.
And you've thought about it?
I thought about it for a week, and I got back to him and I said that I was interested.
Couple times a month, every other Tuesday.
Yep, that's not an issue.
Okay.
When you're in town. Well, not out of town, but same thing.
I can see you.
Right, exactly. I can see you too.
Questions for Shannon?
Have you attended any meetings yet?
No, I was approached right before I was going out of town, and I'd already had plans the night of that particular meeting, and they haven't had one since.
Okay.
And I was interested.
Okay. If you are interested, Neat has recordings of previous meetings so that you can go through. And also there's minutes, obviously, and agendas on the town website if you need to sort of catch up or familiarize yourself.
Yeah, I've read through some of those.
Okay, excellent.
And you still want to do it?
Yeah, is there
Is your husband going to give you a really hard time to make a decision?
I'm gonna tell
Well, that
you.
was conflict issues.
Oh, it's being recorded, never mind. That's right. I'm not playing with John Husband.
You're just one voice on board, right? Well, they've changed what they used from what they used to do, but we have the zoning regs, so it's not as bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't do, review, they
Right.
don't do.
They don't do any
Development
zoning and
reviews.
subdivision stuff, so, which is good.
Do you see any changes or anything you think slacking, so to speak, or just want to help out?
I just want to help out, not so much lacking, but a lot of focus is on the village.
Mhm.
And I grew up in the village, but I live outside the village now, and most of what I do is outside the village. And most of what I
Kind of hard for you to do what you do in the village.
Where's Bruce? Where's that noise ordinance? That's all I have this week.
Okay.
Given that, Shannon, do you feel like in terms of has the town's focus been too village based? Do you feel like since you do bring that up, like are there specific areas that you think that are lacking perhaps in the way that the town is planning in terms of Bristol as a whole, or?
I don't really think they're lacking in anything. I guess I think the perspective of the people that are on there are mostly because you tend to look where your life is. And so I think that because their life is centered here in the village, that they're looking sort of the smaller, that they're looking at the whole picture, but they're focused on the smaller village area.
Yeah.
And not going on, say, the fields and the woods and.
Right. Okay, yeah, that's great.
Okay.
Other questions?
Do you have any questions?
No. I might have called the person who asked me and asked him those questions earlier.
Now I'm gonna get rich.
What do we have for openings right now, Valerie?
Is this a one-year term?
Muted.
Nope, you're muted, Val.
I know. I'm going to the website right now to check and see what the terms are. So this would be to fill a vacancy that runs through March of 2024.
So was that a 3-year term then?
I believe they're all 3-year terms.
So he said, I think he said it was 3 year when I spoke to him.
I don't, any need to go into executive session for this? I would entertain a motion then.
Make a motion, we appoint
Shannon,
Shannon Hill
my mother's
to
daughter.
fill the term vacant position on the planning commission till March of 2024.
I will
Second.
that.
Further
Gonna hold her that, that's why I said that, not joking.
further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, raise your hand, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. My condolences.
Welcome, you're gonna love it. It's gonna be so
Yes.
awesome.
They're very engaging meetings.
Well, you're gonna sit around, we're gonna be talking about a grant for the planning commission.
There you go.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Shannon.
Quick
Thank
question.
Thank you.
Quick
Tasha,
question. So the term expires in March, correct? March
Correct.
2022.
March 2024.
24.
24. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's the only vacant position on the planning commission at the moment. And it's not vacant anymore. So that's
It's
great.
not, there are no vacant positions. All right. Consider proposal for Eagle Scout project to install benches on the Bristol Trail network on town property. William, come on up.
And Porter. You want to connect to? Not gonna grab another chair.
Yeah, you're front and center now. No hiding tonight.
Boy,
He came in, he hid around the corner, we pulled him in. Now he's right up front.
Couldn't escape. Okay, so my name is William Moran. I am a, currently a Life Scout with Troop 543 right here in Bristol. And I am currently pursuing my service project for Eagle Scout. And as was just mentioned, I'm hoping to install 3 or 4 benches along the Bristol Trail Network to assist in accessibility and just to add some nice spaces or nice spots to sit down and just kind of enjoy the surrounding environment. Not sure how, okay, let's see.
Right here.
Right here, all right. I have set the pieces up. I have the material. I set the pieces up in the shape they'll be as a finished product. I think that I think it should pretty well. I acquired the materials from right here in Bristol. Mr. Monks of Vermont Tree Goods very graciously donated some 4 live edge slabs and 8 log rounds to serve as legs. So they should look very beautiful as they're done. I plan to attach them using some kind of like maybe a metal brace on the underside. So aside from metal brace and the screws made mostly of the live edge wood. So it's made of, the type is black locust, which is naturally weather resistant. So it shouldn't require, at least initially, any kind of finish or anything like that. So they're long lasting, they should look, and they should hopefully fulfill their goal of improving the accessibility and enjoyability of the trails. So that's what I got.
Locations?
Yes, so I have I'm not sure how visible this is going to be. I marked it. So the first one I was thinking kind of near I don't know if you know the Basin Street, sort of like the first, that's kind of that's where it starts. So I was thinking of one right kind of at the very beginning. The next one I was hoping to do or install right down here, down the hill on the, let's see. It's, once you go down the hill, yes, the Coffee Factory. So I'm not sure. Sorry, I'm not sure how visible this map is. Okay.
Have you vetted these locations with Porter?
Yes, we looked over a few of them. We walked the trail.
We did the whole trail
month, yeah.
and talked about a variety of locations, and these are some of them.
Yes. So I was thinking of one there, one by the Coffee Factory Loop, one by the new business park that's being put in right here, over there.
Right here.
And he's already got that approved from Kevin, so that's all set.
Very, very supportive. And then one more behind the high school loop over there. There's some great views out that way, and I think it seems like a great place to put one.
Real close on the edge where you look down.
Yeah, exactly.
And we still have to talk to the high school about that. If for any reason they felt like they didn't want to do that, because they do have some plans to expand and improve that for cross country. There were other sections on the river bend where we might put it. So I told him he needed to talk to you, because while, we have permission to put the trail, the Basin Street section, the Coffin, and if we did put one on the river bend, those are all town properties. And we would want to make sure that you were comfortable with that. But from the trail perspective, we were super excited when William approached us, because from the very first meeting back in 2017, the idea of having a place for reflection on the trail was something people have talked about, and it'll be really nice to have a place where
Or to rest.
Yes, to rest, to reflect.
Some of those steep areas, it's nice to have a spot to take a break.
What's your pleasure?
Just a quick question. First of all, Porter, you've done amazing stuff on this trail network, and I want to congratulate you on that. But will these be on so-called, I know you got permission to put trails over on the private landowners. Is anything about putting the bench on there too?
It's all on town property.
Right
Oh, it is
now,
all
yeah,
on town
yeah,
property.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So if we
Other
did
than
one,
cabins.
yeah, if we did
Kevin, you
one,
got that permission, so
yeah, Kevin gave
The
the
high
thumbs
school,
up. We haven't talked to the high school, but the Coffin Factory and the Basin Street
yeah.
are
Town property.
all town
Okay.
property. And if we did do another one on the River Bend section, we would do it on one of the sections there that is town, rather than one of the private ones, which would make sense not only because it's perhaps an easier permission, but also because those sections on the River Bend that are privately owned are very steep sections. But the town currently owns both the beginning and the end, where it would make much more sense to have a bench.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we allow Will to create and put the benches on the 4 spots pending approval from the school. And he's already got Kevin's approval. So.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Raise your hand. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Thank you very much.
Green light.
Thanks very much. This will be great.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. We're going to have the fanciest benches in town.
And it's really nice benches.
Thank you all.
West Street slope repair project status update.
Yes, well, hopefully folks had a chance to glance at the documents that are posted on the website. A pretty lengthy email thread that has a lot of information with on the situation. But the long and short of it is, we were thinking that the November 1st would be the start date of the project, if it was going to start at all this year. But King's Trucking had an equipment malfunction last week or so, and a lot of delay in getting the necessary part, and then being able, once they got the part, they couldn't install it. So they were looking at least a 10-day delay, which would put the start of the project into mid-November. At the previous meeting of the stakeholders, where we thought it was going to be a contract signing, but it wasn't. The schedule was discussed quite extensively. A lot of concerns about starting the project at this time of year, and also concerns about waiting, because any kind of major storm event could change the scope of the project in either case. So, but given the late time of year that we're in right now, there was a consensus among the stakeholders to wait until next year. But that would require still a contract to be signed, not only for the funding agency, but also the contractor. They need that assurance that they have a commitment. Galen Hagan and Mike Lapointe are zoomed in tonight in case anybody has any questions. But otherwise, yeah, nothing is really going to be happening this year. The King's Trucking may choose to go on to Lathrop's and just take down a few of the trees that were identified to be removed for the access road, just to get that going a little bit, get that out of the way. And that's also another demonstration that the project just started for the funding agency.
If they don't do that, what work would show that we're starting this project other than contract signing?
Well, and the tree removal, but also the payment of the access fee to the Lathrop's, that's quite a commitment. So I think that alone would constitute starting. And because this had been discussed on a couple of other occasions, and I had been out of the office, the select board had authorized the chair or the vice chair to sign the contracts. But now that I'm back in the office, and just to make it, clear that I'm now authorized to sign the contract.
Perfect. Any other questions?
Just Valerie, is there going to be any, obviously they bid what is washed so far. Do we gonna have anything marked, how many feet they're doing now or going to have to do? And if we lose another section of bank, how much, not that much cost, but what's going to happen if they lose another 25 feet there? and say, no, now we gotta go back out again. Make it year number 3 now.
They don't have to go back out. The bid is bid in quantities. So it would just, there's a quantity price there. So if it took X amount more, they already have a number for it.
But we don't have there's so much damaged square footage.
But we have the engineered
drawing.
plans.
Okay.
Well, I think I understand what Joel's saying, is like, if we lose more, you're gonna need more supply, which means the price is gonna change, so that affects the project, the end price, and the landowners.
Yeah,
You know, how much they have to
They may
contribute,
walk there.
so,
Right.
That's correct.
so what happens then? You know, we're supposed to get rain this weekend on Halloween.
Again. King's Trucking has said that for minor things that they're willing to just cover those costs. But yes, if there's a major change in the scope, then that would have to be revisited.
Michael, you wanted to say something?
If the scope changes as far as the length and stuff that goes on, the core permit would need to be updated, and that's just a matter of notifying them of the limits and making sure they sign off on the added limits of the work.
That might, but that would also include added cost.
Most likely, yes. And NRCS has the funds to cover some increases in cost to match our 75%. I don't see that being an issue unless there's a major failure of the bank beyond what's there now.
Well, you know, that's possible.
It is.
Okay.
Although at the same time, the last couple of winters have been pretty mild. So maybe we'll get lucky.
So do we need a motion to reauthorize you to?
I would recommend that. Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we authorize Val to be the signer for the NRCS documents. I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Just can we add to that without, if we don't get any more wash or more area damaged, that this project will wrap up by July 1, 2022?
We can't guarantee that.
I've said that out of tongue in cheek, Valerie. It's gone on 2 years now, so almost 2 years.
Well, that's not
I know.
our doing.
Yeah.
Well,
Can you repeat the motion one more time?
If you had a chance to look at the timeline that I put in my TA report,
I did see it.
you can see why it's taken so long. It's a complicated situation.
Tasha, I made the motion to authorize Val to be the signer for all the NRCS documents.
And contract, the King's Trucking contract.
Any other questions? Hearing none, seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Great.
Sorry, I forgot to raise your hand.
I was good. Thank you.
Thank you, Galen and Mike. I appreciate your help.
And who was the one that seconded that?
Darla.
Thank you.
Darla.
Right. Consider grant application authorization request, planning commission for up to $22,000 bylaw modernization grant program. And it says, since we just right here on the edge, that must be,
Yeah,
I don't know where that
that's
came from.
No, Val, I have a question on this. So like, I'm reading this and I'm thinking, we just did our zoning regulations. So what are we using this money for? Why do we need this grant? Why does the plan?
The planning commission the planning commission is trying to do, I think, is to further refine parts of the town plan related to housing. I think, don't they explain in their summary?
Well, I read it, I read the email, but I couldn't figure out why we were using it.
The funding will be used to analyze historical settlement patterns, current zoning regulations, and consider revisions to the current zoning bylaws to promote expanded choice and opportunity for homes in pedestrian-oriented neighborhoods.
They're thinking of revamping the zoning bylaws.
Well, I think that's, they want to go through a process to evaluate that, see where the bylaws may need to be tweaked in order to accommodate certain goals.
Valerie, can you fill me in a little bit about, it says an application of a consortium of the 3 towns, Bristol, Milton, and Lincoln. What's that gonna look like?
Well, I talked with Kevin Hansen today, and it doesn't look as though that's going to happen, that they would like to proceed with just the single application.
Okay.
Mhm.
Is there matching money for this?
10% match would be required up to, so there'd be $2,200, and there's $5,000 budgeted for special services, special planning services.
Is Addison County Regional Planning, are they the lead on this or no?
The town will have to actually go out to bid. They'll have to advertise it to hire somebody to do this professional assistance. And it could be the Regional Planning Commission. They'd have to bid on it, just like another contractor. So they'll come up with a scope of work, a timeline.
Can we, Val, in the grant application, it says working with a ACRPC for a proposal work scope attached. Do we have that work scope? I don't see that in the documents, or is that something that's going to be created?
I thought that was there as part of.
I see Kevin's email in returns the pros and cons, and I
Right.
see what was the other one? It was just the resolution form, the BPG resolution form, but that's not really a scope of work.
Okay, I thought let me just do a quick search here.
Okay.
Okay. So this is the scope of work that Kevin Hansen sent along.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that wasn't, I don't think that's on the website. It'd be good to add that.
Mhm.
Okay, good. This probably answers the questions that Michelle had and I had. Okay.
Read that fast.
I'll post it right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks good. I mean, that helped me in terms of just I had the same question as Michelle, sort of just a little bit more detail on what they wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, excellent.
All right.
And you said we have it within the zoning and the I know Planning Commission doesn't have a tremendous budget. I mean, I guess it's covered under zoning more, right?
Well, it's the planning and zoning department, and there's
Okay.
There's budgeted
Okay.
planning services.
Okay, fantastic.
Motion.
And the resolution needs to be signed by the select board chair, and it's in the green folder out on the front counter.
Yeah, I think he's already signed
Oops.
it.
I can tear it up. I can tear it up as well. It doesn't go.
Cart and horse and cart, okay. So you want a motion?
Yes, please.
I'll make a motion to accept the grant application for the Planning Commission.
For the 22,000.
The 22,000, yes. Up to 22,000. That's right. Up to.
I'll second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Raise your hand. Aye. Opposed, nay.
Have to maintain.
Yep.
Are you a nay?
No, no.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't.
No, I said yeah.
Okay. Motion carried.
Great. Thank you. That's excellent.
American Rescue Plan Act. Funding update, discussion of process and potential projects for funding, next steps.
Yeah, so online are a bunch of documents related to this topic. One of the things folks wanted to know is a more detailed list of what is eligible. And we have that available now. Let me see if I can. So you can see this list here. The broad categories are public health, negative economic impacts, and then there's all kinds of things. Services to disproportionately impacted communities, premium pay, infrastructure, water, sewer, broadband, revenue replacement, such as for the rec department, and administrative recovery. And then other documents are the request from Linda Andrews asking that the select board seek public input on different opportunities and thoughts that people have. An email from Ian sharing the town of Starksborough's approach and through the formation of a committee, a copy of the Ferrisburg survey, and also a request from Turning Point for some of the ARPA funds.
I mean, the city of Burlington is also doing a survey, and I've looked at a couple of these surveys, and I'm looking at some of the stuff they're asking, you know, what they think of, and I'm thinking, I don't know where those projects fit in that list. You know, it's like, and maybe they just have a broader view or a more generalized view of what's allowed in those topics or those sections. But
Can you give an example, Michelle, what kind of things?
I don't remember. I'm trying to remember what Ferrisburg had on theirs, and I was like, that fit into one of those, you know, but I can't remember now.
I remember they talked about water infrastructure, sewer infrastructure, mental health access. There were some, I'm trying to remember what they were too. I looked at it earlier today again, but
I just think about also like some of those towns, like, I mean, let's just say Waltham, they do not have water and sewer, you know, so what do they, that's infrastructure, you know, you can't use it for culverts. You can't use it for,
Valerie, Valerie, the list you just popped up, could you email that to us? Instead of going to the website?
It's on the website.
Okay.
I have it right here, Joel.
Just email it to
I'll
me.
give it to you right now.
I mean, I just want to make sure that, you know, whatever we put out there, we're not gonna say, okay, let's do this, and then find out, okay, no, we can't do that.
I agree with you, Michelle. I want to know if we do something, then it didn't become, they find out later, that was not. Is that when you have?
I think we need to make sure it's eligible before we.
Right.
There's gonna be some sort of.
A clearinghouse, so to speak, or something that you could say, we have questions and we would like to put
These are
some money into this
projects.
project. Is that eligible? And
I mean, as I look at these, some of them are kind of
yeah,
broad, you know, small business economic assistance, that's pretty broad. You know, household assistance, eviction prevention, internet access programs, household assistance, cash transfers.
Yeah, I was like, what is that?
Who are we transferring cash to? What households?
Can I apply?
Right, rent, mortgage, and utility aid. You know, some of them are kind of.
I need a new garage door opener. Probably $900, you know.
You know, the public health ones, you know, pretty clear, but.
Yeah, for that, can't use this fund.
Well, we could make housing out of it.
Housing your truck.
Housing at the work site.
Second floor,
Second floor.
right?
Linda has a question.
Go ahead, Linda.
Unmute yourself.
Unmute.
What the Bristol Democrats were thinking would be a good approach is to you guys have an open public meeting and go through what is eligible, and then let people just brainstorm, then maybe use the Addison County Regional Planning Commission to help you decide if that list really fits under the eligibility. But you start with a brainstorm of allow the residents to brainstorm, then go in and see whether it's eligible or not, then put it out for a vote, what the residents really would prioritize. It's basically up to you in the end to decide, but at least you know what the residents are thinking. But I think to have a public hybrid, you know, like you're doing Zoom and have the information out there. I mean, just one meeting dedicated to this, let people know the basic eligibility, everyone brainstorm, go to the regional planning commission, say, what do you think? And then refine it down and come down to a list that people can then vote on and put it on front porch forum or whatever. And then you'll know what we think, and then you decide because you know what the real priorities are at the town. So
Why do you feel we have to go to regional planning with it to see if it's eligible?
Well, they're there to assist you. Andrew Leroux, I've been talking to him. They're there. He's a specific person that you can go for information. He's one of your resource people, and they're there to give technical assistance to you if you want it. So, and he's been very helpful to me because we were brainstorming even within the Democrats, and there were things we brought up, and he goes, "No, it won't fly." Yes, it will. You know, so he has a good idea what might fly, might not fly. So Andrew Leroux would be a good person to seek technical assistance from to determine eligibility.
What you're saying is we have a brainstorming session here, and then we take those ideas and we forward them to him, and he says what will and won't fly, and then we refine our list from there.
That's what I think. And I think it shouldn't just be a select board meeting where it should be a specific, put it on front porch forum. We're going to have this. We're going to explain to you what the eligibility criteria is. And then let's brainstorm, come up with a list. And you can have Andrew there too with you during that public meeting. But then, he can help you determine whether it's eligible or not.
Linda, do you think other towns have done surveys and you forwarded information about that? Do you think Bristol, that's a useful thing to Bristol to do as well? I mean, obviously a single meeting only captures a very small percentage of our thoughts and ideas from residents. Would you be interested? Would you personally fill in a survey if the town had sent out one, or it would send out one?
Yes, it'd be very different. It would be based on that, what people have brainstormed, and then put it on front porch forum and let people, then there'll be more people who'll fill it out probably then, but at least they've had an opportunity to hear what it's for, and they have an opportunity to brainstorm, and then we get to vote on what really is eligible, what you're eligible for.
Sure, I had all those ideas, Linda. One thing you might not be aware of is there is a community needs assessment that's done for all of Addison County. And that was in partnership with United Way and Porter Medical Center. And so even though that's Addison County as a whole, there might be some information there. And the three parties they've identified is housing, access to mental health services, and access to healthcare. So we as a whole, and also just being aware of like survey fatigue, you may not get a lot of respondents or people showing up, however we could do that. I'm also a citizen of Bristol, so it's important to me that we're spending our money the right way, or at least getting the citizens' opinion of where it should go. So that just might be one more tool that the select board can use. And I could send that along as well. There's a lot of data that went into that. And that took a long time as well. Like that needs assessment. I mean, probably hit front porch around. Did anyone here even fill it out?
Yeah.
It was pretty comprehensive. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually worked with Sylvia on that a little bit. It's
Yeah.
Starla under the mask.
Oh, hi.
We know each other on Zoom only. Yeah, it is a really great report, and I'm happy to pass that along to you guys if you want to see it.
Because I think I got an email on that report.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's why we're getting a committee together. So that way the committee could do all the legwork, bring back the condensed list to the board, and we don't have to spend 15 meetings or whatever trying to condense it all down.
Eric, so I was looking through the minutes for Starksburg, and that's how I sent that along to our group here. Can you sort of expand on how you put together just the concept of that and just a little bit of your timeline with what Starksburg is going to do?
We haven't, we just barely talked about it at the last meeting, so the committee hasn't been formed yet. We're going to send out a thing on Front Porch Forum to see if we could get anybody that would actually want to be on the committee. And then basically it's the same thing. We're gonna send out a survey, they're gonna get it back. The committee's in charge of going through all the survey results and making sure that it fits into the categories. And, you know, just basically narrowing it all down so the board members themselves don't have to do, you know, another 4 or 5 meetings on top of what we normally do.
Eric, could you expand a little bit, and Corin explained to me, but to the rest of the board, how the committee is going to be about conflicts, and she talked about conflicts, and if one committee member is picked for this and they're on the planning commission, or maybe Selectboard Friends of Arts or something, I don't even know if there is a Selectboard friend, but anyway, you know,
Right.
how they
So-
can't, you have 2 people in one organization on the committee.
Yeah, so the committee is gonna consist of the zoning board, the planning commission,
Just one person from each of those?
1 or 2 persons
Oh,
from
okay.
each. We're gonna get between 5 to 7 people on the committee. Maybe, 1 select board member. And then we're gonna go out into the public and get 1 or 2 members from the public. That's gonna create the board, the committee, and that's what's gonna go through the list.
I think the email said 9, is that
Yeah,
what it
9,
said?
I think it
9?
was 9, I couldn't remember the number, but yeah, so they wanna get 1 to 2 members from each board. And then the rest from the public to fill the rest of the remaining slots for the committee. 9, I think, is gonna be, my opinion, I think 9 is gonna be pushing it. I don't think they're gonna get 9 members, but that's just me.
Val, you have a question?
Yeah, Eric, is this committee going to be staffed?
Say what?
Is there going to be a staff person to help support it, like do an agenda and help coordinate things?
I would assume there would be, like a chair or whatever. There would be somebody that would be doing that. We have, like I said, we just barely started it, so we're still figuring out the whole tier thing and all that for it.
May I have a comment?
Timeline that you asked, timeline is gonna be for next spring.
And they go ahead. Where'd you
Yes.
go?
Thank
There
you.
you are. You're moving around on the screen. I'm
trying to raise my hand, didn't, anyway. One thing about having a public meeting is that it gets people to really think, and they listen to one person, then they think it's gonna be really good brainstorming, but if you're all alone in your house and there you see the survey, who wants to fill it out? I mean, at least it's generating like, oh, these are the big categories, and then one person says this, and they get, oh, but what about this and this? It just generates a lot of good ideas. And I think it's much better to start that way, then maybe go to the smaller committee to then sort it all out and then put it out for a vote.
I said,
I'm sure that either way would work. I mean, I think even the committee could do that, could have the open, the public meeting. It doesn't necessarily have to be the board, but.
In a public meeting, all you're gonna get is the normal people that go to meetings. If you're normal, it's true. If you get your normal people that go to, say, 80% of the people that go to the meetings are the village residents, that's all you're gonna get for brainstorming. It's just the village, nothing outside of the town. Unless you do both, the survey and the thing, and then take your list from that.
Yeah, and I'm recommending both, but
Yeah.
start with a public meeting.
Exactly.
Well, I like maybe designating someone from the village in that committee, so there's 2 townspeople in that committee, so maybe, or public people.
For ours, it would probably be more like 4. If they end up getting a 9-person board, it would probably end up being like four community members on
Yeah, so
the
maybe
committee.
2 and 2 from the,
Town and the village, yeah, that would work.
especially if people from the village aren't coming in for those public forums, maybe having someone on the committee that can represent.
Yeah.
Well, it's like Shannon was saying earlier, so, you know, things feel
Yeah.
sometimes a little village
Yeah.
centric.
That all the time.
I know.
I know. Nobody listens to me.
Oh,
That's because you're in the town.
That's probably true.
I am as well.
Right, that's right.
I think, I mean, I sent that, the Sarksborough's what they're doing to the rest of the select board, because I think it's a solid idea. And I think it's maybe that's something that we could look at as well, in terms of our projects and what we want to prioritize. Obviously, as Eric said, it takes some of the weight off of the select board's shoulders in terms of organizing, collecting information, disseminating, everything like that. But it also allows public participation, and it's to our benefit because we can pull people from our already established committees and boards to be able to serve with their knowledge and be able to pull from that as well. So I do think it's a good approach to take if people are interested.
Ian, could you send that to me as well?
Yes.
Thank you.
Do we have a timeline when we want to have something like this? We want to have a survey out? We haven't talked about that yet, I don't believe.
No, we haven't.
Val, is the deadline like April of 2022 that you have to give a report?
No.
Yes, an expense report, a project and expense report. And if towns don't have any projects underway at that point, that's all they have to report, is that they don't have anything spent yet.
We don't have
Those that do, then they have to report what it is. And there's a guidance document that outlines what kind of metrics the Treasury will be looking for for the different categories, what they want to see for data in terms of future reporting. So it's helpful to know going in what they're going to be looking for.
Valerie?
Yeah.
So does that mean by April 22nd, you've got to know exactly what you're what you want to do? No.
No. Initially, municipalities were supposed to submit this report at the end of this month, but they extended the deadline to April of 2022. And it's just a check-in, really. If the town hasn't made any decisions, then that's a pretty quick report. But if for those towns that did make decisions and actually spent some of the money, that they have to report what they spent it on.
This is for ARPA funds.
Correct.
So do we have the ARPA funds, half of them now? Do we have some of it now?
We do, yeah.
And you've already started spending it?
No,
Oh,
haven't
no.
spent it. It's just sitting in a bank account right now.
No, we won't spend anything without
Yeah.
the public knowing about it.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
So we're paying all the select board members.
Bonus.
It's not stuffed in Peaker's mattress.
At least get a
Do we
raise.
get wrong pay
Maybe we get a raise.
for COVID relief?
Right.
Maybe go for $5.
Val, what are your thoughts on the committee idea? I know you were asking Eric about staff, and obviously I can see where you're going with that in terms of organizing and the time to do that. Do you have what are your thoughts in terms of that direction?
It's fine if I like the idea of having representatives like from the Conservation Commission, from the Planning Commission, Energy Committee, other folks, brainstorm and help do some of that work, because there's a lot of energy on those boards.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a reasonable approach. But I
Do you
do
think?
but the coordination of it, how is that going to happen?
Right.
I think if we do that, the people that are on those committees have enough experience to create an agenda, and that it's just a matter of communicating and getting everybody together.
Yeah.
So for next steps, do we want to decide to ask our boards and commissions to give us one member that would be willing to serve on this, and then move forward and reach out to the community for two from the village and two from the town? What are you gonna try this on me?
Move over a bit, Peaker.
Gonna get it.
I think that's a good step. I was thinking about, do we want to work on a survey or something like that first if we wanted to go that direction? But I think you're right. I think that if we wanted to go this direction, establish a committee to sort of handle this, since we do have the time to do that, then it would be there an opportunity for them to then figure out how you might want to approach reaching out to the public and soliciting ideas.
Yeah, I think, you know, like Linda said, we ought to have at least one brainstorming meeting, but I would leave that to the committee, but I would think we ought to have at least one public meeting where those ideas can be thrown out and tossed around, because like she said, you get.
See, she got it.
There's a question behind you.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, maybe more of a comment. It might be worth using some of the ARPA funds to pay someone to do that as the consulting part-time thing. It seems like a really big project, right? The organization of the committee, the survey, all of that. I think everyone's at their capacity, and it's not really like a volunteer gig. So I would recommend maybe just spending some of the money to organize the money to spend the money.
To pay a stipend.
Yeah.
You take that back to your select.
Seriously, it's a lot of
They'll
work.
think you thought about all in your
All by myself.
Yeah, we'll send them a copy of the tape. Good.
I'm like Lucy, that'll be 5 cents.
That's right.
I give.
Very good then.
In terms of the timeline, Eric, was there a reason that Starksboro sort of picked the town meeting to have the committee chosen by? Was that just in terms of allowing enough time and because we have the time to sort of pick these projects?
Yeah, it was just basically to get people involved. We knew we couldn't get it wrapped up in a month, so the committee is supposed to be up and running within, I think we had a timeline of the first of the year, and then have some results and feedback by spring.
Okay.
It's like gonna have something, maybe you can present to the voters at town meeting.
Yeah.
The committee.
Yeah,
That's what we're hoping to, yeah.
I think by the time we get a committee selected and that, we're gonna be into the holidays and probably, you know,
Yeah.
asking to meet before the first of the year is probably not realistic.
No, that's why we said the first of the year.
Especially with other meetings already on their
Yeah.
agenda. Yeah.
Right. And for us, we're going to be going into budget season, and our time is going to be taken up a lot with that. And obviously we're dealing, you know, internal things in terms of new hires and things like that in certain departments for the town. So I think having a committee handle this is in our best interest.
Me too. I agree.
So as a next step, we'll approach each of the.
Val, can you approach each of them?
Yeah.
Val, can you approach each of the?
I mean, I'm also willing to do that too. I know a lot of the board chairs, and would be happy to do that and take point on that if necessary or needed.
Pass it up and do it.
Yeah, or we could flip a coin.
Well, I know Val, your plate is always full, so I'm happy to do that since I know the committees. So I could reach out and sort of discuss this as a direction that the select board is interested in going in, and we need to, you know, solicit interest from boards, and then we can figure out how we want to approach the public in that. And I think the idea of looking at village as well as outside the village is another good step too, to be able to sort of fill out as many places as we can, and positions and opinions. Okay, all right, I can put that on my list there.
If one member from every board, how many members is that on the committee before it's? Do we know?
Depends on how many boards we're talking.
All of them.
Well, you're talking planning commission, you got design and development
Review.
yeah,
Zoning.
energy,
Conservation. Up to 5.
Ian, how many committees and groups have we got?
I'm trying to figure out how
Well,
many.
it depends on departments. So the three main would be planning, energy, conservation. We have obviously the new development review board, which sort of crosses into planning a little bit, but it might be interesting to get a member from that board. We have the lesser board would be the design review, which I don't think we probably need within that, because I think those other areas cover that. And then you could reach out to different departments as well if you wanted to, in terms of the rec department, or even, I mean, I guess you'd have to look at the specifics of what it can be spent on and whether you would get valuable information from a particular department versus committee or board.
One
So
thing
5 or 6, and then I think that the public rounds out the 7, 8, 9. And obviously we don't want to get it too big because then I think it's more difficult to manage if you get too large.
One thing I don't think that we really cover in our boards is sort of that human services aspect, which is a big part of where that money can be spent. So I think
that's true.
I think we'll want to think carefully about who's appointed, to represent that piece.
Well, that's why I asked the question, could we have 6 on it, just on the boards that we have? 5 or 6, that's why I was adding them up. And then you talked about 2 from the whole village, the town. Now we could be up as many as 10. And I was just trying to say, maybe we're going to start that way, get 2 from the planning, or 2 from the old village and 2 from the town, and then fill it backwards. And we may only have 1 from planning and not zoning, or 1 from design review and not planning, or something of that nature. That's what I was trying to.
Yeah, it's good to think about that. We could fill it up. I mean, we might be able to fill it up easily, or it could, like Eric described, it might be a more difficult proposition.
Ian?
Yeah.
But since a big part of it could be for our water or sewage, and is there a water department because you'd want people who might be an important category to cover, somebody who understands what's going on with our pipes and our water and sewage.
Right.
I don't know who, but I think they'd be important people to come on, or someone, I don't know, broadband, I guess, would be under energy. So, but those are big.
Yeah, I mean, as I look at these topic headings that Val mentioned at the beginning, like public health and negative economic impacts, do we feel like we have departments that could cover those topics as well?
Public health, non-health might.
Right, but I'm thinking within our town, if we're looking at our town departments, does it?
Well, the
we have a
police
public
department
health
and the
officer?
rec department are directly involved with citizens and providing support to citizens.
Okay.
But I did talk about businesses and trying to build up businesses and tourism, and there's a whole thing on nonprofits. So I don't know who we might want to go through all that criteria, make sure we got people who are knowledgeable.
Well, we can see also who applies. Maybe the townspeople that applied might have expertise in some of those fields too. So perhaps that's our first. And if we don't feel like we've got good representation, we can add to that group.
So
should there be somebody on the committee that's a health related from the health area?
Yes, I guess I'd follow up Bob's question is, should that be one of our questions if you want to get on the committee and you're not one of a board, 2 from the town or 2 from the village, that what do you bring to the committee? So we might, if we don't ask that and we have 2 from one organization, so to speak, a nonprofit or something, I wouldn't want it weighed either way too much.
Yeah, or maybe, we could figure out, who we have and what we need, and those could be one of the criteria when we put it out to the public, if you have expertise in this area. I mean, we may be looking for more than 2 from each, though.
Yeah.
Or that you don't want to, I would caution not to limit someone's
Right.
education over someone who's like.
Right.
I wouldn't say education, but I was just saying if you have some kind of,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, so what do you bring to the table? So to
Yeah,
speak?
what you can bring, yeah.
What do you bring?
So I'm sensing a switch here that we're gonna go public before we go to our boards.
No, I don't
I think we can do both. I think we can build.
Do we want to limit which boards we ask to start? Energy, conservation, and planning? Do we want to start with those 3?
That's what I would start with,
Yes.
That gives us 7.
Well, if you take 2 from each, if
Yeah.
you take 1 from each,
I
then
think-
you have 3.
I think that's fine.
1 for each
Yeah.
for now, and then if it doesn't fill in, you could maybe expand it to another board.
1 from each, the town and the village?
No, 2
No.
from them, but 1
One
from
from
each.
each.
That's what I said. 1 from those 3 committees, that gives us 3 people.
Yes.
And then you got 2 from,
That gives us 7.
that'd give you 7.
Yes.
And then we can just figure out what else we need, what we don't have covered.
So just those three then, Ian. Planning, conservation, and energy. And then are we gonna reach out just via Front Porch Forum to get, so to solicit people for the?
Yeah, I mean,
Between that and the town website, that might be a good way to go.
Facebook page.
Yeah, the Facebook page.
Should we,
I mean,
should we,
whatever platforms we have available to us. I'm not, you know, there again, I'm the computer guy here, so I know all those.
but just, I'll remind you. Yeah, Front Porch Forum is obviously a big one. Facebook and the town website. Those are the ones, and Instagram too, a little bit, which is sort of connected to the Facebook. We utilize those the most. And just to be as broad as possible to be able to get applicants. And I think having a list, like as Jill says, of what you might bring to the committee and posting the information about what the ARPA funds are and what they can be used for, that'll help narrow down that selection.
would it be good to make sure when we finalize the committee that we have expertise from each of the categories that Valerie showed us?
Yeah, that's probably a good way to look at that, to be able to break down like who we might want to have on the committee. Okay. All right. I think I've got enough to go to start with in terms of starting that list. I'll reach out to the three main committees to start with, and then start to work on some language in terms of posting publicly of what we're looking for, what the town is looking for in terms of persons to serve on this committee.
Be happy to help with that, Ian, if you want to bounce stuff off somebody.
That'd be great. Thank you.
We're reaching out to planning, conservation, and what was the third one?
Energy.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we are moving on. Consider cost proposal from Don Weston Excavating for West Street Crosswalk and whether to proceed with change order.
So we received the email from Alan Heinzega forwarding Don Weston's estimate of $14,056 to install the crosswalk, the electrified crosswalk.
That's the sign, that's everything.
Yeah.
An electrified crosswalk sounds.
You know,
zapping.
you know what the sad part is? We talked about solar last week, and there's a light post right at the entrance there that has power in it. Now it's poured, and there's no.
I know. I saw that too, Peter. I was like, oh, can we just run that wire? How about just an extension cord?
He could have, well, you know, if we'd have caught it, we could have at least put a piece of conduit in there to head out, and if we didn't use it, it wouldn't have been a big deal. But I went by and I saw that, and I said, I'll bet you that'll be poured before we get a chance to talk about it again. And sure enough.
Is that, on a side note, is that what's poured there? Is that for a street sign there?
Street light, I would assume. And that was my other question, is who's paying the power for those lights?
Or is that going to be for I thought maybe that's going to.
They're all the way down through.
Yeah. I think we can guess who's not going to pay for the power of those lights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it coming from us?
I would think so. It's in the account.
Yeah, never-ending grant. That's not a grant.
Yeah, but I don't remember.
Is that going to be with sidewalk? Excuse me. Is that going to be part of the streetlights that we get? I mean, that is a village, former village.
Right.
Town road. Yeah, and we got town streetlights here in town.
Yeah, and there's not gonna be any poles out through there,
So
so
those are going to be it's going to be under the streetlight budget. Not going to
probably.
be a separate meter. Okay.
Oh,
I thought, to get back to your question, original one was, I thought we decided not to go underneath the road and go.
We did,
Not
but
do solar ones.
because we didn't have any power there.
Right.
But then they put in the power pole.
Yeah.
You put in the.
They put in the conduit right to within 10 feet of where the thing's gonna go. Well,
I mean,
anyway.
the cost of that still could have been more because we'd have to go under the road or dig up the road and put in. So I don't know if the solar is particularly more expensive. It's just an aesthetic thing and whether it works all the time. But yeah, I saw that 2-peaker and I was like, ah, darn it.
And it's not a big deal to run a mole under the road these days, but it's
That's true.
done. So, and we got quoted a price for, I'm assuming the price that Weston's quoted was with the solar.
It is 12,000 for the solar.
So do we remember, how much were the ones
Down here,
yeah.
I
We
don't
can get a
know.
price. We've got that sheet from last year.
It's on the.
I think
What
they're about
was-
the same price. There's not a tremendous amount of difference. Sorry, Tasha.
What was the cost that you quoted with?
The total of $14,056.
And 12 of that is light.
Right, the solar.
Yeah.
It's installation.
Well, okay, so the last time I saw those lights or the what they're going to be pouring, it wasn't poured. Are you confirming that it's poured now?
It's
That
poured.
sidewalk?
It's poured.
Ah,
Yeah, it's,
okay.
the sidewalk's not poured,
Yeah, the sonotube is poured. Yeah.
yes. So it's a mute point. And we wouldn't have power on the other side of the road either, so.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
I don't, care, well, I do care, I wanna do this, 14,000, but I don't wanna take it out of their capital.
No, it's coming out of
No.
No, it can't,
no, it can't.
I don't wanna take it all out of sidewalks.
Reserve fund.
If we're gonna spend 14,000 for total and 12,000 is gonna be
Lights.
for lights, I don't mind taking 2,000 out of the sidewalk to do sidewalks. But we gotta find that 12 somewhere else.
Well, the light is the flashing beacon.
Right, I know,
Sure.
that's 12,000 of the 14, right?
Correct.
Or a sidewalk, or it's for a
No,
crosswalk.
Beacon's not a sidewalk.
Yeah, but it's part of the whole.
I get that part of it, I do.
Right.
But we need to do sidewalks in a lot of places. And to keep spending, we only appropriate 40,000 a year, and to take a third of it, or more than a third, put it for one little section of sidewalk, when we could only take actually 5% of 40,000 is 2,000 to do the sidewalk. I wanna find that 12,000 somewhere else.
Where do you think
Not
we're
out of
gonna
there.
find that $12,000?
I don't know.
Well, we can,
There's a ARPA funds right there.
Well, this is something though that we, if it's going to be done, well, that's a decision to make. If we're going to try to have Don Weston do this, the expense is going to happen now.
improve it and figure out where the money's gonna come from. We don't need to, we didn't.
And I'm only one, both.
No, we didn't, well, what I'm saying is if you wanna look elsewhere to see what else is available, we can look, but we can approve this.
Yep.
If we're gonna do it, we can approve it.
When's the timeline?
They're pouring now.
No, to do the lights, that would be done now?
Yeah, everything would be done now.
Oh, okay.
So we could we back up a little bit here? Could we ask him to revise this poured sidewalk with 2 bases poured for a later use? And we go, maybe we won't put the pedestal in, but we'll have we won't put the head in and the solar.
I feel like,
If we're gonna do it, we do it.
I feel like if it's a safety issue and that's why we're putting it in, the sooner we get it.
Well,
the
we're
better.
not gonna have a building, we're not gonna have people walk in there for a year. Maybe we'll find the funds for the lights in a year. That's what I'm saying, Dara.
And the lights will,
You follow what I'm saying?
yeah, I do.
I'll make a motion to approve this $14,000 change order to get this in. But I'd like to really not take 14,000 out of the sidewalk fund.
Understood.
I wouldn't want to pay for the sidewalks out of the sidewalk fund, for the concrete over there. I don't mind paying for those pedestals to hold up those blinking, flashing things at a later date within a year. When we start having people crossing there to go to their housing, their apartments there.
The quote is for everything.
Yeah, I know.
Well, let's get it approved and we can figure out the money piece.
Right. I mean, I hear what Jill's saying, and I actually agree with that because the limited traffic going over there it's going to be limited for at least another year, as Jill said. But I think unfortunately, we don't have the option to say, hey, take out $12,000 of that and just get the sidewalk in the pedestals, right? Or do we have that option, Val?
I don't know.
Okay.
He's going to have a little bit of cost above and beyond the sidewalk, just if he pours the two bases to hold up the pedestal at a later date.
Yeah, and I'm nervous about liability of those sticking up beside the road without something marking where they are. I mean, for the snowplow guys, you know. I didn't look back. I don't know what kind of faces he made. I knew better, but I didn't get hit in the back of the head either, so.
That's all because we didn't have anything with.
I'll get it later.
Yeah, I totally hear Jill's concern, and I wouldn't want to take 12 grand out of the sidewalk fund, but yeah, I mean, do we spend time figuring out if we can split it where we can put the infrastructure in and not spend 12 grand on those posts that probably won't be used by a lot of people for over a year. Like I hear that. But Val, thoughts?
Well, assuming that that's even an option, then perhaps we could apply for a grant for the beacons. But that's iffy. And
yeah,
there would always be a match. I think the small scale project through or the small scale program through the bike ped program, it's a 50% match. So it would only be a $6,000 savings.
Only.
And that's, and I don't know if the price would change. This is Don Weston's price. I have not been able to find the cost figure for the one that was installed on Main Street. Not seeing.
I had something because I researched those when I was proposing this. I could try to look back, but I know we want to answer this now. It's something like that. I think the solar and electrified, actual conduit based are pretty much the same. There's not a huge difference. I have to say that there will be more of this being requested of us through the public committee for pedestrian and biking safety. I've been sent a draft of sort of what they're working on, and some of this are suggestions for more of these in the village area at key points. So we will be looking at this further, I think, down the line. But I don't know. Having said that, is it something that you could apply a grant for? The one by the fire station, as well as another one that perhaps is approved and put in another place. Like, I don't know if that's useful to have like a multiple of those around, and whether that's more grant worthy.
I don't know.
Okay.
We could always just do the crosswalk and forego the signs for now, not do the bases and everything. I just think that with them there digging, and they're all set up, to have somebody come in and do that separate is going to be more money. They're already mobilized. We're not paying we're just adding the cost of doing the work. We're not paying a fee to have somebody come in to mobilize to do the project, which you're going to want to take into consideration, because that could be substantial too. That could be a good portion of that money.
Yeah, I mean, and we are putting sidewalks in there. It's not like the business park is being built and then we're going to build the sidewalks later on when it gets filled and there's people working there. Like, it's all being done now, so it's all part of the same thing. We either do it, we're paying for it now or later, regardless.
And I think we'll pay more later because there won't be somebody that's there. It'll be somebody that's and just to do that.
Yeah, I have a feeling you're right.
Valerie, do you have the plans from Otter Creek Engineering in front of you?
I can pull it up.
Just want to make sure.
Let's see.
Because I know if the bases are put in now, or put in later, will they undermine the sidewalk, the new sidewalk?
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, because aren't they like 6 feet deep? You're digging all that up that you're putting in and, yeah.
There's gotta be a tube big enough to hold that hole. I mean, there at least 4.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I make a motion to accept the change order and we'll just go ahead and do it.
I made that motion about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I second that motion.
Well, I wasn't quite clear what your motion was.
Joel. Go ahead, Valerie.
And it didn't get seconded, so I'm not sure where that went.
Well, Ian just seconded it.
Yeah. Joel, is your motion to do it without any
That was, and then
changes?
I brought up that I would like to not take that 12 grand of the 14 out of the sidewalk.
Okay.
To be part of the motion?
No, that's not part of the motion.
That's not part of the motion. no.
Got it, okay.
Well, that's my.
Okay. All right. Then I second Joel's motion. Then.
Can you repeat what Joel's motion was? Because all I have written down was Joel Bouvier would like to see, Joel Bouvier moved to approve the purchase order, but not come from the sidewalk fund. Is that correct?
So the motion would just actually be Joel Bouvier moved to approve the change order for the 14,056.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Ian seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Raise your hand. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Consider final adoption of amended and revised water ordinance.
So moved. Yeah.
Second.
You've all signed it already, Val. Except for Ian.
I'll come in tomorrow.
Nothing.
I'll run right.
We haven't voted yet.
Just, you said in your TA report that you just did some edits and things. Nothing major, just typos or dots and here and
She
there.
had to put sections in. Or missing.
Yeah, I can show you very quickly. Let's see here.
Trick question, is it? I don't really do. You didn't change something major that we.
Oh, no.
She would have let you know that.
She shortened it to 1 page.
I wish. So some corrections on the numbering. I cannot get rid of that highlighting. Nothing I could do would get rid of that. So I don't know what to do about that.
I'll work on it.
Special section. I was gonna say, I can get rid of that too.
So that was corrected. And I compared this to the original ordinance. It's quite a different document in a big way. And these were, in the other version, these were section numbers, but they weren't supposed to be section numbers. Then. So. I also added a header because I like having that kind of thing on every page so you know what document you're working with. And then the history.
I did talk to Jill the other day. Her and I had about a 40-minute conversation about, and so the board and the ordinance states, and the board agree that one connection is one curb stop. That was kind of a question. I said, I think that's in the ordinance because possibly a house going up on North Street may have one connection, but 2 curb stops. Or two
One
dwellings
curb stop.
per dwelling. That's what she wanted. It does say that, one curb stop per dwelling, or one billable dwelling.
No, well, right, because the place you're talking about on North Street, we said if they had one curb stop, but they had two connections because they're putting a duplex up, that they were gonna get one bill, and it was up to him to figure out. He was gonna be responsible for it, and he had to figure out how to get paid. If he wanted.
If he only wanted one long,
If he only wanted
one meter.
1 meter,
Right,
right.
but if he sells those, that's the question she had for me, because he's put in for his TAC. He'd like it done sometime the end of the month here, or by first part of November.
If he sells them to two different people and he's not.
I
an
buy
owner,
one and somebody else buys another.
then you have to force them to put in.
Then put in another meter,
Another meter, which means they have to put in another curb stop.
which would be, it would be a change of use, wouldn't it? It wouldn't necessarily, no, you wouldn't have to put in another, yeah, you would, because you gotta be able to shut it
I
off.
said to her, I said, you
Right,
might
because
be
you
better
have
off
two
to
separate
go,
owners, he's not.
go
an
off
owner
10
alone.
feet off the line, go with a 2-inch or 1-inch main off to a, like they did up to, here on Dental
Yeah.
Lane.
Run it.
So that they have 2 meters,
Right.
So have two curb stops.
Two
2
curb
curb
stops.
stops,
So-
okay.
So I said, well, talk with Valerie about that, but I said, I think it says in the ordinance that one residence is 1 meter. Which, if it's a meter, then it's a curb stop. Meter and a curb stop go together.
Right,
Okay. That's.
Am I
that's
true
what
in
was
saying that,
remembering
Ron?
you said.
I don't know if that language is specifically in the ordinance.
yeah, but we had.
I don't, we had the discussion and we didn't,
Right, so.
And we had said that if he only wants 1 meter.
Right.
One curb stop, and then he had to figure out how to get payment from the other person.
That was clearly expressed in his permit, his approval.
Okay.
I mean, but if he sells that to two
different people.
like he sells, I mean, I don't know if he's condominiumizing it, because that's the only way you could sell it to 2 separate people.
Right.
Then that's a change of use.
Because right now it's his private.
His private
Right,
residence,
that's
and
what
I
remember
think he'd have
talking
to
about.
come into Chris and get another permit.
Private residence and then an apartment.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a mother-in-law apartment.
Okay.
All right.
so who made the motion? Michelle made the motion, who seconded it?
Ian.
Ian
I think.
seconded it. Further discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, raise your hand, aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Have we got it done this time? Now we have to post it and,
Yep, and I've got the notice already prepared. So it'll be published in next week's paper and we'll, and the final version is also in the green folder for your signatures.
Done.
we
Can we
might
put it on the
remember to
website?
do- I think Ian's the only one left. We signed it while you were, as soon as we said aye.
Do we have can I get a final PDF so we can put it on the website?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we put it on the website now?
Well,
Or
it
do you
is
have to
on
wait?
there,
We have to-
sort of. I mean, on the agenda section, but,
Right,
I needed to wait until it got approved.
right.
And you-
No, that's in terms of in that area as opposed to a select board item. But
Right,
do we
right.
have to wait until we have all the time period and
It's,
stuff like
it's not
that?
in effect yet. Yeah, so 30
Okay.
days.
Okay.
Yeah, you have 30 days to get rid of that highlight, Ian.
Okay.
All right, moving on. Consider selection of a contractor for Munsell Avenue, new sidewalk scoping study.
I say we talk about this in executive session.
Me too. And the next one.
Consider quotes for 20, so we're moving that to executive session?
The annual town report.
No, the
Number 8.
number 8,
Yeah, I think we need.
Okay. and consider quotes for 2021 Bristol Annual Town Report. You want to move that to executive session as well?
We've got 3 proposals.
No, I got 2 really.
No, she got 3 of them. Send it in there.
Okay. Review approval of June 28th, July 12th, July 26th, August 16th, August 23rd, September 13th, October 11th, meeting minutes. Which ones are we doing?
And June 28th. What was the one I gave you today, Val?
October 11th.
Okay, October 11th. Okay, so I make a motion, we accept the June 28th and the October 11th meeting minutes with minor changes.
Further discussion?
Yeah, you gotta get a second.
Second.
Second. I got a second. Darla, I knew she was gonna do it. Further discussion?
Move it on.
Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Um,
Aye. Raise your hand. Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Authorize accounts payable warrants and liquor licenses. Tasha, do you have the warrants?
Yep, it is $109,029.78.
That's correct.
Alrighty.
Ian, you'll have to come in and sign.
Yep. Select board roundtable. Ian.
Is Eric still there?
He's
Eric, are
shaking-
you shaking his head?
No,
No.
he's shaking his head no.
I wanted to ask, so we tried the salt barrels last year. Is the road department okay to put those back on when we start to get snow this year?
Yeah, they'll be putting them back on probably within the next couple of weeks.
Okay, and I think given the amount that was put in, just because it was the first time we used them last year, a lot of that wasn't used. I think you and I talked about like doing them half that amount for this year and see how that goes. Is that still okay? Okay, super. Thanks so much.
That it?
Yeah. Oh, I do have. So the trash has been working well. I think for the 4 new containers, I haven't seen any overflowing problems, anything like that. I know that we were going to revisit this at a further select board meeting, but I feel that we haven't had any other complaints. I don't see any other trash problems. One thing that Richard brought up in terms of the collection would be maybe moving our normal trash collection to Mondays, having it picked up in terms of being empty for the week instead of Fridays. And I don't know what the board's feelings are on that.
Well, if he picks it up Monday, then they have trash in them all week and then through the weekend until Monday.
If there's an event or something, that could be an issue.
Yeah.
I think you'd be okay during the winter, but summertime, you definitely would on.
Well, summertime.
Yeah. Yeah, he's speaking specifically about wintertime. He just figured that it would be, you would have fewer people using them. It would be empty at the beginning of the week. They would fill up slowly over time, and then be emptied on the Monday. And then they do, I think, a Monday pickup for trash and then a Wednesday for recycling.
That's fine with me.
Yeah.
For the winter
We can
months.
try it for the winter months.
Okay. And I think we don't need to, I mean, we could probably start now or maybe 1st of November, just having the single pickup a week. He's also said, which I said a couple of weeks ago, in terms of the trash and recycling being separated, because we have those 2 bins as opposed to one single bin, that's really working out well. And I've sort of looked at them as I've walked through town, and the recycling seems to be recycling as opposed to a mixture of things. So I think it's working in our favor, having the new receptacles.
Good.
That's it for me. Thanks. Yeah, thanks.
Oh, a couple of things. When the solar panels when they told us they were gonna put them in the landfill, thought they were gonna put them on cement blocks. Those square blocks that Carrera sells or whatever, and they're actually on poured concrete. Change, but just want to let the board know, I noticed that the other day. You can see them, they're pouring concrete in those things there, those springs. Go ahead, Ian. You got something? Oh, then,
I think it's just to do with the way that the infrastructure is set up. I think it's easier to have the frames and pour into those, because the panels or the vertical pieces that hold the panels have to be in the center, and they're poured as a whole piece.
I didn't see a huge problem with it. They're not that huge.
Okay.
On a huge floor,
Yeah, I think it's just
4 by 8 sheet pieces by 2 foot thick.
Yeah, the infrastructure is held right in them instead of having to bolt to it.
And then, Joe wanted to let you guys know that, remember that we asked for a report about a year ago, where we were pumping about 60% more water than we were selling. We're down to under 40% now. We're down to about 42% difference between pumping and selling. And that's good. So some of the repairs they're doing are really beginning to show the difference. They turned the blow off. That's that pipe behind Randy Sargent's so the Rockydale line won't freeze. They turned that on the other day. Going to try to work with someone to try to get Silas out there in a bucket or something to reduce that. It's a 1-inch pipe, and they're going to try to reduce it down to a 1/2 inch pipe. Didn't realize, because we talked about, you don't need that big 1-inch pipe to blow off water. That's a lot of water to waste.
Can't just cut the valve back.
I didn't ask her that, Peter. I'm going to. That's a good question. And then Eric was wondering, you noticed there was a contractor over on Pine Street this weekend Are they paving on both sides of the road?
Yeah,
Are we-
the entrance is to,
Are we concerned with the water on the upper side? Not concerned about the big parking lot water, but the upper side, the water there.
Not paving the parking lot.
Oh, you're not, you're just creating that, but where's that water gonna go? Where the big trucks back into the.
on the loading dock,
Yeah,
same place as it was going before,
crossing the road.
basically.
Okay.
Because they can't change the pitch, I mean, it's.
No, I noticed that.
So,
It came off the dirt, so it's still the same.
Bristol works.
Bristol.
yeah, so the pitch is gonna stay the same, they're just redoing it, and the water will be.
I'm glad they're paving,
It's the
really.
same place that they're going.
Okay. And then, Alan and I met with Timmy Bouvier at Jackman's of Bristol. And we walked all from Taylor and Maple down to Jackman's, all the way down through where all that water's coming. And Alan agreed, it starts on North Street and that wall of water comes Pine Street all the way down through and all Taylor Avenue, Maple Street goes right down through into Jackman's. But Tim and Alan told Tim that if he wanted all that water road infrastructure to go down through there, that's a big, huge can of worms that he didn't want to open up. So he agreed that when we designed Pine Street, that Alan is looking at those baffle chambers
Infiltration.
on the south side of Pine Street, the upper side, and shape Pine Street so it'll go into them. And Tim said, you just keep your own water and I'll deal with my water. And so they had a good conversation about that. So that's where we're going on that. So that's all I had.
Hey, I have a question, Joel. You mentioned like we're reducing what we're pumping and what we're using, and that's good. It's for that 42% that we are still sort of losing, I guess. Are there areas where it's like, oh, this particular area is like that's 25% of that, or is it just a culmination of like various leaks throughout the system that build up to the 42, or are there like key ones that are like really large percentages of water?
It's hard to tell without them doing another study and listening tour, so to call the listening tour of the water. Yeah. I mean, as she says, Pine Street is as we all know, is the leaky one. If it was bubbled out of the ground, she said you'd have it look like a sprinkler. She says, we were pumping 60% more water than we were selling, and we're down to around 42%.
What's the average? What's do they figure is acceptable? I mean, it's like 20%.
20 to 25% is considered a tight system, very tight.
Huh. Okay. We got work to do.
Yeah, and because between the 0 and that 20 to 25 is meters that are not calculated quite right, and this and that.
Yeah.
So.
Michelle?
I just have a quick question. Val, we had talked last meeting about town moderator. Were we gonna advertise on Front Porch Forum for people?
We were, yeah, I have not done that yet, but I'm working up to it.
But that's what we had decided, and I hadn't seen anything, so I wanted to double check.
Right, yeah, I need to get the ad together, and it's been a busy couple weeks.
Can we get Sharon to do that?
Possibly.
Well, I don't know that she can because she's doing some treasurer work right now, so.
All right.
That's all.
We're all spread a bit thin.
Yeah.
Cool. I just wanted to mention that the Five-Town Partnership had their coat giveaway, their Share the Warmth event this weekend. They gave away over 540 coats and like 85 pairs of boots and various and assorted hats and mittens. Whatever was left over, it's completely free. It's the second year they've done it. They had more stuff this year than they did last year. So they're really happy about that, to be able to do that. Anything that was left over, they gave to the John Graham Shelter and Charter House. So nothing went to waste. It was all taken care of. And that group is really becoming very active. If anyone is interested in joining that group, they can reach out to Jen at the Federated Church. Jen Corrigan. Yep, she does a great job facilitating those meetings and getting that work done. And she's worked, as Bruce said earlier tonight, they've been able to help out with a couple of folks here in town. And I sit on that committee when I can too. So
Maybe somebody on that committee think for Bertha.
yeah, not a bad idea.
Sure that, Ian?
Yeah.
And I know the rec department's got some pumpkins on the park happening this weekend coming up, and just wanted to hope that everyone has a happy and safe Halloween.
And not a Halloween storm.
And not a Halloween storm, even though it looks like it's gonna be a little
A
damp.
little bit wet.
Yes. No, go ahead. I had one more thing.
Go ahead.
I just, you probably all heard our oldest relative or oldest resident of town, Bill James, passed away yesterday. He did, Saturday night, early Sunday morning around 3 a.m. I just want to give our condolences to his family, and Bill was as we all know, 110 long resident of town. That's a lot.
It was a spitfire to the
It
very
was
end.
Spitfire to the very end.
You can still hear his laugh.
Yep.
I have nothing other than I will not be here for the next meeting.
Oh. Get your head on, Ian.
You're up.
All right. Town administrators report.
I have nothing to add to my written report.
Correspondence. Nothing. Executive session.
We do have one.
Yes, I know.
Should we acknowledge Jen's time here? Have we done that already in the meeting?
We could do that. Thing, but it doesn't hurt to do it again.
We didn't. We
We
did.
had accepted a resignation, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did last meeting.
Yeah, okay, sorry, I couldn't remember, and I just wanted to make sure.
Yep.
Thanks.
I make a motion, we enter into executive session to discuss contract negotiations and personnel matters per 1 VSA section 313 and invite Eric to attend. We're part of that, anyway.
Also, I'm sorry to interrupt, maybe, and then I'll interrupt.
I'll second that.
No, I was kidding.
Okay.
Eric crap.
Tasha has let us know that this would be her last meeting of taking minutes for the board.
Thank you, Tasha.
Thank you, Tasha.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tasha. For many years, you've been at it for many, many years.
5.
Now when you say 5 long years.
Congratulations, you escaped.
I'll second it.
Joel seconded it.
Joel seconded it.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Raise your hand. Opposed, nay. Motion carried.